Today we're going to take a look at probability and do some table making so we can look at how often things happen and what are different possible outcomes if we're looking at probability. Okay, so when we're talking about probability, the common situation that you'll hear is like colored marbles in a bag and you'll pull something out, or maybe flipping a coin and whether or not you'll get heads or tails. Sometimes there'll be super bizarre options, but today, just to look at examples where it gets in our mind, I'm going to hold my paper sideways so I have enough space. Today, let's consider that we are going to flip a coin and see if we get heads or tails. And then after we flip the coin, we are going to roll a die, a normal 6-sided die. Right? So it'll have sides of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if we want to map out all the potentials of something happening, right, the first thing we need to consider is how many possible options there are when we flip a coin, right? So when we flip the coin, we have options that we could flip the coin and we could get heads, okay, or we could flip the coin and we could get tails. Okay, so we sort of start over here and we get two options for our first situation. Okay, then we're going to consider how many options we have in our second situation. So rolling the die has nothing to do with flipping the coin. So once we flip the coin, right, we can roll a die and we can either roll and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Those are all the options that we could get. So we could roll the die and get a 1. We could roll the die and get a 2, a 3, 4, 5, oh dear, my thing isn't very level, but we'll just go with it, or 6. Okay, or we could roll the die after we get tails. I'll use a different color here so we can sort of keep it apart, and we could still get a 1, a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Okay, this then represents all the possibilities of what could happen, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 possible outcomes. One outcome is that I flip a heads and then I get a 1. I could flip a head and then I get a 2. Right? So each of these sort of pathways gives me a different potential of what could happen. Now, this could look different based on any situation. So maybe there's colored marbles in a bag and they're pink, purple, and blue. Right? So we could pull out the marble, and the first thing that could happen is we could pull out a pink marble. The first thing that could happen is we could pull out a blue marble, and then we could maybe pull out a purple marble. Right? So based on the situation, we'll differentiate how many different possibilities you have and how you continue your table. So you're going to look at an example where you need to see if the table is correct or not based on some colored marbles.